Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SoFi Weekly. I wanted to go live just a couple hours early for the simple fact that you guys can't call me late. Roy and I decided to start 3 hours early just to shove it in Tevis's face.
Yes.
In fact, we don't know where Tevis is. So if he shows up, great. But I mean, for all I know, he could be asleep by now. I think it's like 1 a.m. where he is. So,
He also could be a simulation too. Like with AI these days, you don't really know. So
well, it would have been a good freaking algorithm early on. Hey? Okay. All right. His camera's not on yet, so I don't want to throw him up on stage, but he is in the backstage. I'll wait for him to get ready. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing good. Been
Hi,
a
Tevis.
couple of weeks. Did you guys go live last week? You did, right?
Yeah, you were there.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's not
It's been
flattering.
it's been one of those weeks. Wow, it's been one of those weeks that feels like 2 weeks. So in a good way, but just a whole lot happening. So let me retweet this out. Oh,
When Lamborghini? That's something Roy has to answer for you.
Tesla. It's only Tesla, and it's really good, man. I love that Tesla.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
When's that Tesla? I see what you're saying.
Yeah, no, that I don't know if there's ever gonna be a point where I'm just get tired of it, but it's actually with the Tesla, people don't realize, like, how cheap and affordable they are compared to what they used to be. So I'm at this new job, right? This is the first week of it, and I had a couple of comments, and
Congratulations.
thank you. I had a couple of comments, and it was tongue in cheek, good. Oh, this
Cheers.
right here, it's good. It's a Gridlock Ultra White energy drink from Aldi's. 89 cents because SoFi is so stinking bad right now. I got to do something so I can be able to afford more shares.
I've never even seen that before.
Are there Aldi's up there?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Dude, I'm lagging so freaking hard. There's going to be a delay on my end. I can't help it.
Okay.
fine.
Well, why don't put on your camera, or you can try later on if you start to see that the thing is stabilizing. But we can do a test on your lag here.
But yeah, the Tesla, like, people think that they're very, very expensive. And so, tongue in cheek, a couple of people were like, man, I didn't realize we're paying you that much. It's like, I mean, they're paying me a good wage, but like I got it for 18.5 plus taxes and fees. So it's like 20, a little over 20. Just because of the EV tax credit. And there was a few things I noticed in the vehicle, so they went down a little bit. And it's awesome. Even buying new, like I told a couple of different people before I left the other job and at this new job, I'm like, hey, this is what the Model Y is going for new. You can get it under 1%. I mean, like, I should be making a commission at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
So there's seriously, between SoFi signups and referrals, and then people getting into Tesla and looking seriously at Tesla for the first time, is like, there's a lot of people that are. I mean, it's not going to change the stock, guys. Don't get excited, but when people, they need to do some advertising, man. I've seen it myself, but it seems like they're advertising to people that already are aware of Tesla and how good it is. But people don't understand that. Like, the other comments I'm getting are, oh, well, what do you do when the battery blows up? It's like, probably the same thing as when the motor blows up on your car. Like, how often do you plan on that? Like, it doesn't happen often, especially with this LFP battery. Or the safety feature. Oh, that's a death trap. Is it? Have
Yeah.
you researched this? Or, oh, the maintenance costs are really, really high on that, aren't they? Well, I mean, if the battery blows up, yeah, but you have this long warranty, and that's like a motor going out. You don't, you just go on and get a new vehicle at that point. That's a decade or hopefully two down the road. And they don't understand it. So
It's weird hearing that from that perspective, because I'm just so into Tesla at this point that, like, it is true though, right? They're like, hey, you know what happens whenever this super niche thing that happens every decade? It's like, all right, man. But like, during that time, the amount of maintenance that you have to even do on the car is so much less. Like, I don't know how many Teslas are running through a Jiffy Lube. Is that the one that you guys have, or is it Mr. Lube that you guys have?
Well, there's a Jiffy Lube, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, not that I never need to go there ever with the
Yeah,
Tesla.
no, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if it went the opposite way. Like, we were all electric cars, and then we started getting gas cars. Like, the amount of questions, like, don't you have to freaking change the juice in that thing all the time?
Yeah. Dude, I gotta write that down. That is a fantastic post idea. If you don't mind me stealing it.
Go ahead.
Oh man. That is brilliant. I love those flips.
Yeah, you'd have so many points where people are just they're just not. Isn't the gas on those things like, or isn't the electricity on that gas car like super expensive?
I like the word juice.
Yeah.
That juice stuff that that comes out of the ground. What's it called again? It's like, oh, I hear that gets better range at least, so you have that going, but doesn't it explode all the time? Like that stuff's really flammable. I heard that you need a trained technician to, operate it. At least in New Jersey, they still do. So, I
Person in the
guess.
chat said we have a Mr. Lube, but you'll want to stay away from him.
I know.
Danny Deals is in the chat. How you doing, Danny? You want to hop on for a minute if you have time? You can tell us.
We'll kick Tevis and add you. So
Yeah, yeah. How we're not buying enough. How we're not buying enough SoFi. Here, let me.
I actually have you bought any this week?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I hadn't bought any. I don't know. It'd been a month or so, and at 680 or something. Actually, when Noto bought, I was thinking about it anyway, and I'm in the process of rolling over funds to Robinhood. They're doing the awesome 1% match or 3% on as I'm maxing out the Roth, and I'm like, you know what? I've got cash sitting there. I'll go ahead and buy some SoFi. So it wasn't a huge amount, but I don't know, like $600 or something. I was like, I'll buy more SoFi, sure. But largely. Most weeks are just like, well, I'll watch the price action and drink my cheap energy drink because I can't afford the good stuff like you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Tevis, how you doing? You with us now?
Can you guys hear me better?
Yep.
Can you see me without lag?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
and there doesn't seem to be a delay, so I just cut you off there. I think it's actually good now.
There is a slight problem.
Yeah, good.
You're a little more handsome than normal, so you went from an 8 to a 9. So
it's definitely low quality internet. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
I'll be back to normal when I'm back home.
If it's a low quality camera, it actually looks like it's like a blurring effect. It's
nice.
Your skin is perfect.
My wife, so for me anyway, I think she's a 10, and her eyesight is not the best. And she wanted to have this very expensive eye surgery. I'm like, please no. We've been married this long, but I don't want to jinx it. Like she'll look at me and be like, I married you? Like, what did I do?
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. Like as time goes on, will people? My thought process is from something else, but I don't want something to happen where my girlfriend ends up having just a completely different feeling about me. But a little tip for you: don't say "in my eyes she's perfect." Just say she's perfect.
I mean, she is a 10, so
perfect. I gave Roy the full treatment. Brought my whole family in. My girlfriend, the dog. I don't know if the cat was there. Give him a little screenshot, but
I've seen the cat though.
Yeah,
they do their own thing. So
Tevis, how is do people know where you are? Can I say?
No, people. I don't think so. I'm in Europe. I'm just traveling Europe. I'm buying one-way tickets everywhere. I just bought one for Monday again, so I'll probably be back in Europe. I'll probably be back.
Who do you think is going to catch on to you in Europe?
Tanner, why do you bring these up when we're live?
They're full-on countries. What's gonna what?
He's a CIA agent. Remember, he's actually a United States citizen. He's in the CIA. Being in we're live. Oh man.
Yeah, but you already said you're in Europe, so it's not like you're acting like you're at home.
There's like 50 countries here.
And they matter? There's different, depending on which one you're in, it's going to change your status?
I'm gonna be flying to Amsterdam on Monday, and then I'll be in Belgium on Tuesday, and then probably Paris on Wednesday, and London on Thursday and Friday, and I'll be back on Saturday, Sunday.
And
Is
where are you
that
right now?
is that I'm in Florence.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Is that enough detail for you? Jeez.
You could have just said Italy. I mean, come on.
What part of
Okay,
Florence? Just
well,
kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Like where does he think the dude's going to North Korea next? Like we're gonna blow up his spot. Like, dude, you're in Europe. Like, relax. But okay, let's get into some SoFi news. It's already been 10 minutes. We had some fun. SoFi short interest. Do you guys want to, Roy? You said you've been more busy than not. Do you think it's gone up or down this week?
Oh, I saw Tevis's post, so I'm glued to what that guy says. You know,
Okay.
anything that he posts, I'm like, it's gold.
Mhm.
So yeah, it went up.
The post that he makes specifically from Florence, Italy. Those ones.
it actually went down. So
Oh man, I looked at it and I was like, it's higher than I think it was, but it's been crazy, guys. Sorry, I've worked so many hours the last like week and a half. So
I actually didn't even realize that he said it went up. That's hilarious.
it's still very high though. It feels like it went up. Okay.
Yeah, depending on the site that you look at, it either says 17% or 18%. But both of them say it came down. So, Tevis, your opinions on this?
I mean, it's still elevated. We don't know the reasons why people are shorting. We don't know how long they're going to keep their shorts on, but it's like 17%. It's not, last year this time it was like 11%. It's not 20% plus, but it's still really high. And I just think that the longer that SoFi continues to execute, the more this doesn't make sense. Um, I'm surprised to see, the short interest climb from 11% to 17% as the company moves towards profitability. But, that's the world that we live in. I don't necessarily know how long that's going to last. I don't know how violent that move's going to be, if at all. It might just like slowly start to wean off every couple of weeks. But who knows? Yeah.
I'm trying to get Danny Deals an invite here to see if he wants to come, and I honestly don't know how to work WhatsApp at all. So sorry, Danny. I apologize. Okay, whatever. So yeah, no, I had a conversation with a really good investor today who we ended up recording a video, and that'll come out later. But we spoke a little bit about SoFi, and it was so nice hearing from a great investor just how calm the movements in the price are versus what you see in YouTube comments. He's like, yeah, I mean the stock is getting cheaper as the market isn't loving it, and the company continues to grow. I'm like, thank you. And everyone else is like, oh, I guess the thesis was all wrong and this is a dead company. And I'm like, come on, man.
yeah,
SoFi to
I mean,
zero.
I don't love that it's going in that direction. Like, I don't love that we closed under 7. I don't love it, but I mean, it is what it is. But because it's like a lot of the shorts that were in, at the high $7 range in January, and then this thing shot up to 10, you're like, those guys are all going to get burned. Yeah, it turns out they're not, because we can't hold any gains in the short term, and so it's just the price action is proving so many of these shorts right, that at least in the short term, right? And we can't really control what the stock does in the short term, but it's just because it's so detached from the fundamentals that a lot of the shorts are like, yeah, obviously it's 17%. Why wouldn't it be 17%? Because the stock is going down. And then you dive one level deeper and you're like, well, it doesn't make sense for it to be 17% because the fundamentals are going up. And there's a huge freaking gap in between those two things.
Yeah, I don't even know if I wonder how much the shorts are even benefiting. Like, yes, we're below 7, but I mean, for the longest time, it's been sitting just around the $7 ranges. So either they're pricing it perfectly, where they're all buying in at 750, 780, and then getting out at 680 and running that wave over and over, or they're sitting there and just taking the premiums on the chin, and then some are cashing out and some are ending up not being that profitable. Like, the
Yeah,
price action that people want from SoFi's longs, like long positions of going from $7 to $11, that's what the shorts are wanting. They want 7 down to 4, and that isn't happening either. So,
yeah. I had
yeah.
mentioned to Tevis, and this was months ago, of it, like if it goes down to 6, my plans just buy more. And he's like, he was skeptical to go down to 6. I feel that way for like the 5s and the 4s, and you're right, that's what the shorts are looking for. And I don't understand it, honestly. I had a number of posts on SoFi this week, including the context of like what happened over the last 3 years. Price action, of course, it went down. Fundamentals improved dramatically. Really just shows the danger of kind of entry into the stock market that SoFi did, but also how overvalued things were in 2021. There's not a lot of stocks outside of like the Magnificent Seven where it's like, oh yeah, it went up and to the right. But there was a lot of bears on that thread, and a couple other threads I did, and I was like, well, they would bring up points, mostly not really valid, and then some that were absolutely valid. And I said, well, maybe you should short it. And the unanimous response I received from all of them was, I'd be dumb to short it. Like, why would I short it here? It's at like $6. Like, that's stupid. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's my point. I like, what are these guys doing? Because people might not understand this, but when you have shorted the stock, you are borrowing it. And so there is a fee that you have to pay. It's the cost to borrow. And it depends on when you actually take that out, that you're paying over time. And so if the stock does what it's doing right now, where it's not great, I'm like with Tevis, I wish, we were overvalued. That would be great. $18 SoFi. Yeah, let's go. Overvalued. Yes, but I love it. But the reality is it's undervalued, but it's just sitting there. And so unless shorts are timing things perfectly, and they're not geniuses, they are just burning money, waiting for it to go down to like $5 or $4 or whatever their strike is. And I just, barring interest rates rising, which I guess is a possibility, but I think it's very unlikely. Like I do not see them doing that, or a massive recession, or Anthony Noto being assassinated by Vladimir Putin, something crazy, it's not going to 4. Like the stock market can do anything, but it's not doing that. 5s, yeah, that's hard. That's very hard, but it's possible. It's just very unlikely. I think the ranges that we're at, it's just going to probably sit for a while until interest rates move one way or another.
Sure. Yeah. No, and I think that it just boils down to that. And right now, like, I'm even looking at the things that benefit from interest rates being high. One of them being SoFi money accounts, right? I've been looking at that with the ad on 500,000 new accounts in the last quarter. The percentage of total new financial services products that was SoFi money was a massive, massive percentage. So I need to separate it out just into financial services. I think the only number I have is, bear with me here. I'll try to do some numbers actually just while I'm on the call here. But sorry, just pulling up the spreadsheet. Okay, SoFi money as a percentage of total new products this quarter is 73.5%. Okay. Those users, whenever you count out, credit card, invest, relay, all of those other financial service products, is essentially the hallmark of every cross sale, all the financial services money. Like it's paying for all of the other products that are money losers, like SoFi Invest and credit card. And yet that's where they're seeing the most amount of growth. Which, by the way, the largest percentage of those users, over, what is it, just over 50% of them transition to direct deposit within the first 30 days. That it's such a leading indicator, in my opinion, of financial services growth going forward, knowing how fast that snowball is starting to accelerate. So whether or not they continue to grow SoFi money or not at this pace, it is extremely exciting, in my opinion, and one that I don't think SoFi is getting enough premium for. Like, people are just looking at each product as being equal, or just looking at the total revenue, but revenue is being completely driven by essentially lending, right? And SoFi Money is going to bring a lot of future growth and a lot of future product cross sales. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't think other fintechs have been treated like this. Like, whenever a specific product is growing at Affirm, like the Affirm card, people go, "Oh my god, like this is such amazing success. It deserves a premium," even though that the total earnings for Affirm card don't quite transition to their just full a larger product, buy now pay later loans. But like, people can see the forward success of that card. But for some reason at SoFi Money, people can't see the forward success of that product, even though it is so much better than just a card, right? It comes with a card that's just a part of it. It's also inclusive of direct deposit, which means inflows are going to be that much more high. Spending will continue, not just one time, and then also, getting more loans and stuff like this, because that's where people usually get those products, is from where you're getting your direct deposit to. I don't know. I think that product should be looked at more. It already is getting good light, but it had massive success this quarter.
Yeah, and I think the next few quarters, don't know that the market will react to it because it's like, hey, it's SoFi, let's sell that off. But I really still think that there's going to be massive user growth, and we've already seen them pretty much every single quarter smash through and just have great quarters. I still think that in quarter two or quarter three, we're going to see something surpass the Taylor Swift amount, maybe in both quarters. But I think that we'll get to that 1 million mark. Probably quarter three, I'm guessing, just because of football, but we'll have to see.
I'm trying to. Sorry, go ahead, Tevis. My bad.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think like again in the short term, the market is just gonna be centering around some type of catalyst, and it seems as though rates is gonna be that catalyst, and the majority of institutions don't see a cut until like election time in the fall, meaning that we could have what at least one more earnings result, maybe even two earnings results before a rate cut. Um, so I don't know. It's just I know we were talking about like, oh well, it's unlikely that the stock is going to fall below 6 and into the fives, but I think the thing that's really killed people's morale around it, it's not necessarily the volatility, but just how flat it's been and the sort of inaction in general, at least over the past several months, in spite of the good underlying news. That's the demoralizing part for people, and especially because it's relative to other names in the market that are running. Like everybody saw Nvidia, and they were like, "Okay, well, that's great." Um, where Nvidia was like almost carrying the entire market, and if Nvidia tanked earnings, like I guarantee you, we would have had a really big pullback because it's just indicative of the direction that we're going, especially leading into the rate cut. So, with SoFi, it seems like in the short term, at least over the next, I would say 6 months, 6 to 12 months, almost as though their fate is not even in their hands. It's all like macro driven, sentiment driven, regardless of how good the results may come in, which is not really fair, but that's just it seems as though that's the reality of the market that we're in right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's gonna suck whenever you look there. I think that the um growth in those essentially 8 largest names is really making it look like the distance is huge, right? Versus if you look at more of the areas that SoFi is in, whether it's fintech in general or small to mid cap growth names. I mean, there really isn't a ton of movement. You can find specific names out of those that have done well, but uh, I don't know. I don't know. I think that people need to. Well, people don't need to have more patience. Do what you want with your stock, but people are always going like I saw in the chat yesterday. Someone goes, "What's going on with PayPal stock?" And another person said, "What's going on with Hood stock?" And I'm like, guys, the whole market is red. The whole market, aside from one name, is red. Like that's the
That's
one that
crazy.
obviously you have your money in, but
Yeah.
like to even complain saying, "Hey, like why is Robinhood down right now?" It's like Robinhood had such a smashing success already, and to complain that they went from $20 to 19.50 is out of this world.
I think some of that though is just people chase. Like that's just FOMO, natural tendency, and they respond to price action. And so, when I was crying out from the rooftop like $8 and $9, I'm like, dude, this is a ridiculous value. You should buy it. I think it's going to 20. Not saying you should buy it, but saying I'm buying it hand over fist, and I think it's going to go at least to 26 by the end of next year. People are like dead stock, dead money, short Robinhood, Vlad's a scam, all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But now that it's 20 something bucks, every hood post that I put there, some people have been following the whole time. And there's some people that just didn't look into it, to be fair. But there's a lot of chasers that are like, yeah, Robinhood, you think it's gonna go to like 50? I'm like, I don't know about 50 like this year. I really don't think so unless we get into a 2021 scenario, and I don't see that. And it's a natural tendency. But yeah, the whole market that one day, that was the craziest thing. Nvidia, buy everything else, sell it. Uh, Weird. Those days happen. There was a few. I think it might have been early this week or actually late last week. I was being asked about PayPal, like why it was down. It was and Affirm was down as well. Block was down because of the buy now pay later stuff. It really didn't have as much to do with PayPal as it was being hit, but it's actually refreshing when somebody asks you, and it's like, oh, here's the actual reason that it's probably going down. More than it should. Market does what it does. But many days people ask, and there's no reason. It's just market, or it's caught up in a sector, or that's the macro, or just everybody's buying Nvidia. So short term, you can never really predict these things. That's why it's so risky. If anyone here is buying or short term options, especially out of the money options, man, you can get blown up just because weird stuff happens for no reason.
Yeah. Jeremy Rishel said that he also doesn't know if Robinhood's going to get to $50. So he's selling. I think he means SoFi, but
Yeah.
we were talking about Robinhood, but he definitely means SoFi.
Noto at least is buying.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Jeremy Rishel and Anthony Noto have a deal where every share that Jeremy Rishel sells, Anthony Noto will buy eventually. It's a pretty good trade that way that, insiders hold the same amounts over time. Also, Danny, you're completely right. SoFi just reaffirmed 2026 guidance. That was the best news in the past 2 weeks. But I sent you an invite. Stop talking from the sidelines. Put your ass on camera. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, 2026 guidance, by the way, that's the other thing that people need to just relax about, where they're going, too many people look historically and they're like, oh, well, at some point you just have to face the magic that, this stock hasn't worked. But yet it's like, okay, everything that they said has worked though. Okay. So you wanted to see a company fundamentally hit, or let's go even further back, get a bank charter, increase their margins up to 30+%, get profitability. It's all those things, but then the stock price doesn't follow. So then you go bad company. But you didn't say bad company back then. You said those are really lofty goals and I hope they hit them. And then they did. Right. And now 2026 is what?
People put zero like factor on SoFi's execution. And by people, I mean institutional analysts. And that's why 2026 doesn't mean anything until it happens. Because the people like the Gary Gordons of the world, and I mean, I'm not trying to pick on Gary, I'm just using it as an example because I heard this from your interview with him, he was like, "Oh, well, they're not profitable," and you're saying, "Well, actually, they are. They reported their first quarter profitability." And he's saying, "Oh, well, if I look on a year-over-year basis, they're not." And it's like, well, shit, man.
Well,
Do I have to wait 4 quarters for them to actually show in the black for you because you can't look quarterly? Like that is the type of person that
not
I'm
that he
using as
didn't
a
know.
persona. No,
It's
no,
not that he
I know,
didn't
but
know. He
he just
knew.
looked
He
at
just
it
doesn't.
differently.
Yeah, he doesn't believe that quarterly means profitability. That's all.
I get it, but I'm saying like it's a very large chasm to cross between that type of person and the person who's like, "Oh, management affirmed guidance for 2 years from now. I'm sure they'll hit it." Like it's just a big gap.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think that the speed in which that they have to increase their earnings from cents this quarter to potentially 60, 70, 80 cents in 2026 is a lofty goal, right? So if you haven't been following the goals that SoFi has been putting out and what they've actually achieved, it's a hard goal to believe in. But if they hit it, then you are buying a fundamentally better company than what it was years ago. Everyone goes, "Oh, you know what? Like, I've been looking at this company since it went public in Q2 of 2021. In Q2 of 2021, they had like 2 million members. Okay. Today, they have 8 million members. So, like, I don't know. Look around. Just like, well, how do you want to buy a company? You want to be a trader? Then why are you holding on to SoFi? Like, if you want to buy and sell, then you should have bought in and left already. But if you want to find a company that compounds over time, then this price is something that shouldn't be so painful, right? It's just the problem is just the way we talk about SoFi. And I know Roy's been wanting to change it and I've been wanting to change it, but it should be something that we address from time to time. To come back to a stock every day, every week, that's actually influencing people to believe that the stock price needs to change quicker because we are addressing it like every day. you know, if this show was on like Squawk Box, they'd be like, "Hey, back to SoFi." I remember what's its name? SoFi was just recently on what's the podcast? BG Squared. Is that what it is? Bill Gurley and Brad Gerstner's podcast. And they brought up SoFi as an example of a SPACed company that has had tremendous success, right? And to us who have been holding it, it feels like that isn't the truth. But even outsiders looking in can see the bars are up and to the right, you know? And to get it from those guys, true institutional investors are going, yeah, they've had great success. And they weren't asked about SoFi, by the way. They brought it up as an anecdote to say these are the SPACs that are succeeding. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because like I think if I put myself in the shoes of that person who is like irritated or pissed off, I could go so far as to say that if this thing is moving in the right direction, then like that's fine for me. I don't need it to be completely doubling or tripling overnight and be like from Robinhood, let's say from $8 to $20 in a matter of months. But if it goes from $8 to 9, and then the next quarter results come out and it goes to 10 and it holds it, and then maybe it goes to 11. And so like stair stepping in the right direction, right? But then on the other hand, you could sit in the other camp and argue that, wait a minute, this thing was at 4 like this time last year. Why are you complaining that it's now at 7? Just because it went to 12 and then came back down to 7? Like it was still at 4. And so it's just, it's just different viewpoints from looking at it.
Roy.
Yeah, throw this up if you don't mind. This is one of those retrospective posts. I'm trying to do that on all my holdings the 3 years ago. And of course, we're in a raging bull market. We're in a bull market now, but it's not like every single day everything goes up 2%. That was crazy stuff. But SoFi, at the time was about $7 versus 21.97. So if you bought and held and did nothing, like it sucks. It just does. But if you look at the actual company itself, 2.3 million in quarter one members, up to 8.1 million this quarter one. It's a 350% increase in 3 years. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Adjusted revenue, likewise, significant increase, 80% increase. Net income, likewise. We will net loss. Like look at that, $500 million net loss versus a nice net profit. This is for the full year, by the way. And of course, we've added the bank charter, Technisys acquisition and integration, Wyndham Capital Mortgage, and a bunch of new products as well. And it's like, okay, so it says two things. One is back here, SoFi was stupidly overvalued. Everything was, to be honest. I mean, it was tough to find a deal. That's just the environment it was in.
I honestly, dude, I'm getting distracted as ever. So hold on a second. Let me just. I'm being distracted because we have a guest. Ladies and gentlemen, really quick. No, don't take that away, Roy. We're gonna go right back. But I just need to introduce him because he's doing all sorts of shenanigans in the background here. Danny Deals. Oops. He's gone. How you doing, buddy?
Have I ever mentioned I'm a world champion chair dancer? known throughout Southern California for my chair dancing. No, sorry to interrupt, Roy. Tanner kind of called me out there, said I was just sniping from the sidelines, which is always true. I like that because there's no accountability. Tanner hit it. Like, just call these impatient wackadoos out. It's like, okay, 2 years is nothing. I did a show the other night. After the crash, Microsoft stayed at the exact same level for 10 years. Amazon stayed at the exact same level for 10 years. This is after they made runs. I mean, literally did not move. I held these stocks. I sat in a dark closet with a bottle of whiskey for the better part of the 2000s after the, pets.com crash. And it's like, these guys, 2 years of consolidation, they're crying about it. Management is killing it. That's all. I'm like, I am so happy to be invested in SoFi. I'm so confident in their management. I hear this Robin Hood clown out here, dancing around with a gold card, trying to be some kind of long-haired Steve Jobs. Give me a break. Noto comes in with a conservative windbreaker, just with numbers at his command. The guy knows the numbers almost as well as Roy. I'm just like, stop being so nice to these weak people in your comments. I'm losing patience. You guys are all in your 20s and 30s, and you have money. You have good jobs. You're going to retire in like 30 or 40 years. You're losing patience. I'm sorry, guys. I'm fat and old. I'm probably weeks from an infarction, and I have more patience than most of you kids you Lambros. How do you drive these Lamborghinis in Canada? There's so much snow. And Roy is the most humble man in the room. The guy's got more brain power than I could possibly dream of. I have 4 brothers, and Roy has more brain power than those of us put together.
So, I love the introduction, Danny. I appreciate you coming on here and slapping some sense.
I jumped right on. I brushed my beard with a comb, and
there you go.
Was making some dinner, so
yeah.
There you go.
What are you popping out? You just are you leaving? You're staying.
I think I kind of detract from the information being presented from the show because I've been working so much this week, and everyone complains. Oh, Danny, you told everybody to buy SoFi. You're such a pumper. You're such a loser. I'm like, okay, be that as it may. I have never told anyone to buy this stock over 10. Never. I have never pumped. I'm saying buy when it goes low. They keep shorting it. They keep driving it down. Thursday, the short volume ratio was 73%. Historically, 60 has been high. And they still can't push it down below 7. It recovers to 7 in one day. It came back to 701 today. Do you guys understand what these candles mean? It keeps recovering 7 immediately. There is no organic selling under 7 since the 1st of June, 2023, period. The breakdown is made up. It hasn't gone under 7 at all in a year. That's it.
Actually, I'll ask you some questions in a sec, but I don't want to detract from Roy's thing. So
sorry, Roy.
I'm going to pin that because I do want to get back to that, but I do want to finish what Roy was getting at because this was important. And go back to the top, Roy, because I wanted to see some of those numbers. I was getting distracted. Members went from 2.3 million to 8 million, a 350% increase. Adjusted net revenue went from 322 million to 581 million, an 80% increase. And net income went from a loss of 484 million to a net profit expected of 165 to 175 million dollars. Go ahead, Roy. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of useful to have that long perspective. It's the whole saying, "When in doubt, zoom out." If you look at the stock chart only, and you only apply that to the stock chart, it's like, wow, obviously I should get out of this stock, and that's what the chart should say. You look at the actual company, and it tells you two things. One, this is a much better company at a much better valuation than it was 3 years ago, and two, that things can get stupidly overvalued in 2021. Therefore, things can get stupidly undervalued for a time. Did stupid overvaluation last forever? No, it broke. Will stupid undervaluation last forever? No. I mean, it could, but this would be the first time ever. So we don't know when things will change. We don't know what will be the catalyst. We can guess, we can postulate. That's why I'm in SoFi, is because they have phenomenal execution. I think they're being a little over conservative, but this is a company that's not going to blow things up and not be here 3 years down the road. We know the direction they're headed. They've told us, and they keep reiterating it to 2026. So I'm like, dude, I'm buying and holding. I'm not buying as much as some other stocks just because I'm like, hey, reality is we're going to be range bound, and I have a lot of SoFi. So it's okay if I buy some other things, but I'm not selling this. I'm not going anywhere. Even if the stock price isn't going anywhere, I'm here. So that's my perspective. Zooming out helped me, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Danny, you were saying?
No, I forgot. I was actually texting Not a Lurker there. So basically, my thing is, in terms of it was high for a long time. Remember, that was a unique event in investment history. I've been doing this. I went through the .com. I've been investing since the mid 90s, like a psycho, so I've pretty much gone through all the anxiety and angst of every perceived and real downturn that's hit the market. And like that jump where SoFi hit 28 and Hylian hit 50 and PaySafe hit 60. I mean, Hylian went down to like 40 cents from $50. This was a very unique time. The government was just printing money and putting it in the hands of imbeciles who had internet connections, couldn't leave the house. Half the people thought it was the end of the world. People were addicted to gambling. They couldn't go to casinos in Detroit or Foxwoods or any other place. The psychology that led to that pump and the mechanics of it and just all the things that came together is like, it's never going to happen again. So if you look at it and you say, okay, SoFi fell from 30 to 4, you're really missing the picture. Okay. It fell from 10 to 7. I mean, most institutions are upside down. A lot of shorts are upside down, and retail people are completely depressed if they're even. I mean, this thing has been through a down period of consolidation. Stocks don't move up like a yodelay, like a climber on The Price is Right. Stocks consolidate, they languish, they generally bleed sideways and down, and then they move up explosively. I mean, SoFi has made moves of 120% in 6 weeks, 80% in 6 weeks. This stock moves insanely crazy upward after consolidating sideways and down. It's done this 3 times in a row. So I'm looking at a wedge that's forming above 7 for 3 months. This stock has bounced between 785 and 7, and the top is tightening down. I mean, this is classic stuff for a breakout. I'm no technical genius, obviously, but what I'm saying is, where is the breakdown? Where is it? Fundamentally, technically, it isn't there. It hasn't been there. Other stocks have fared far worse. And the reason is Robinhood has institutional ownership of 80%. The mechanics latched onto this when they thought SoFi was going to go bankrupt. They've been shorting it since then. This is a legacy Fugazi trade. They don't care if they're wrong. Don't you guys get it? Everybody's like, oh, the shorts are wrong. Boo-hoo. They don't care if they're wrong. They're still making money selling options. They're still making money on these little mini pump and dumps they run every week. Don't you guys see they're not shorting Monday? They suck people into these little short-term calls, and then they short the hell out of it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The ratios are there. I made an awful video where I mansplained all this today, and nobody watched it, you guys. I didn't have my SoFi shirt. I didn't have my SoFi Hawaiian Bowl hat, so I wasn't branded. It was more a failure of branding than a failure of information, Tanner.
Hey, dude, I appreciate it. I never even look at any of that sort of stuff in terms of the technicals.
I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, this stuff really correlates very, very closely with this price action.
I never said you were crazy. I just,
the look on your face said it all, Tanner.
No, I think that technicals work until they don't, and then people go, it's.
I don't even go by technicals. I just do this for stupid videos because I drive my girlfriend crazy otherwise. I don't even care about that. I'm here forever. I think this company is freaking brilliant. I mean, when I see what they haven't even started cross-selling yet. Right now, they're pulling in the members, they're pulling in the deposits, they're strengthening the balance sheet. When they cut these rates, originations of all sorts are going to explode, and cross-selling is going to explode. Customer acquisition cost is going to fall below zero. The heavens are going to open up, the angels are going to sing, and we're all going to have a huge party on my yacht.
Tevis, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things. Number one, you've been investing for about as long as I've been alive, so congrats for that, I guess, Danny. Number two,
it's not always pretty.
Number two, I mean, I think 2021 was a different time, and yeah, you could argue, probably rightly so, that SoFi was overvalued. But even in 2024, we're living in a time where freaking Donald Trump stock is valued as a higher market cap. So there is something there. Number three, I think that technicals definitely play a part, and we've been just forming just a pretty big pattern. I agree with the large moves. I mean, I remember, when was it, November or so, we went just from 7 to 10 in a matter of a couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm, again, I haven't bought, I haven't sold. I've never sold SoFi stock. I'm probably going to buy next week, actually, anywhere under 7, but it's fun
Where
to
are you
make
getting the money
content
to buy?
about it. What do you mean? I'm gainfully employed, sir.
With what company?
Dude, what is it with you today?
I was just fucking with you. I'm sorry.
Tevis Cruz, European Gigolo, the
Wanting to dox me so hard.
Wasn't playing.
Oh my god, dude, that cracked me up. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
We already know CIA. Like it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Just look how red he turns. I love it. I like to make Tevis smile, make him all nervous. Sorry, go ahead, Roy. Or Tevis, you were saying something?
I was done saying all the things. I'm not meant for the big screen. I'm an introvert, and this is why I go red, Tanner. And you're not meant to have these controls, man. This is too much power.
I have way too many controls. Roy, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that he's CIA. That's it. So,
okay.
Is there any other SoFi topics to cover, or do we want to look at some other fintech right quick, or going to after hours?
I won't be there because I refuse to pay that $5. It's just, it's the principle. I'll buy the course. I'll pay the 300, but I feel like I watch you guys like 30 or 40 hours a week as it is. And if I pay that $5, it's gonna just get even more out of hand. So I'm gonna hold on to that sawbuck. Probably get me a Western bacon cheeseburger and let you gentlemen duke. I feel like there's already enough white people on the show without me, so already enough questionable facial hair to be sure. So
there's only 3 white people here and 1 red.
Danny, people were complaining at the beginning of the show because they were like, "You guys are too low energy," and then you just
that was me
flaming hot.
Dude, that was me complaining. So then you'd have to put me on the show. I don't even plug my stuff though. Like nobody wants to watch my crap anyway, so there's no point.
I watch it. I comment all the time.
No, I know Tevis is like I love it when Tevis comes on. Everybody loves it. It's like
Danny, you're the
Tevis
flaming
is a
hot
huge
Cheeto.
international celebrity, yet nobody knows it. It's like he's the best kept secret since Nene Leaks.
Why don't I get
All of us-
invited on the show? I want to come on the Danny show.
Yeah.
Tevis is my Kylie Jenner.
I don't even get the reference.
Oh, well,
I'm too.
I know
old
I
for
have
this
so
kind of
many
stuff.
things about SoFi I could talk about, but it's all the same. It's all the same stuff. I mean, it's just fundamentally grossly undervalued. DCF, fair value. I mean, even the Chia Pet had to raise his little target from 3 to 4 because book value went up to 4. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, begrudgingly, I'll keep my sell at a 4.
Well, he gave 8 cents to the tech platform, I think, because tangible book value is
Well, and if you look
$3.92. So
at
he's
his
giving some premium.
projections for 2025, they're very close to management, and they don't make any sense with this price target. He's actually knows exactly what he's doing. And Tanner, you said a couple weeks ago, I heard you started to say these analysts are not mistaken. They're being very, very dishonest. I think you were sort of going down that road. You might have been, said it in sort of an obsequious Canadian, polite, I want to maintain my relationships and not burn all my bridges manner. But you were saying it, and I heard it. I didn't record it, but I heard it.
We're gonna have some analysts on the show. I don't want to. I like everyone's opinion. Okay, Gary Gordon will be back no matter what you guys say. You guys can all.
I love those interviews. I did a whole show ranting about it for like 2 hours.
Perfect.
I love those shows. I like Gary. He seems like a very nice guy. I love hearing opposing opinions. It makes me
bring him on the weekly, Tanner.
Yeah, bring him on.
I
People would love to see him.
I tried to get Noto on the show today, and the dude doesn't want to. He does not want to come on the show.
I know somebody who knows Noto, and they say he's very canned, and like he's not. Maybe I don't know the guy personally at all, but they say he's not like a social, real fun guy. Like the numbers, psycho, workaholic, army ranger type thing is not like, oh, they'll come on the show and joke around with the fat guy with the beard and the SoFi regalia. Like he's about his father's business.
Yeah, just sort of more of a business savant than
well, I just think he has his personality, and I'm glad he does. I don't want me running the company. I want somebody like that who's 24/7 building SoFi and not worried about clowns such as myself.
Hey, I mean, I don't mind it either, but it would be
awesome.
It would be awesome, but still, I understand he's doing better things.
Can you imagine my comments if you had Noto on? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I would blow up my keyboard.
I'd tell him to close chat so he doesn't, because he's gonna see like the Anthony Noto and Chad Borton and like all these people that make all these.
No, it would be he doesn't ever talk about the fact that he won a Tony for his portrayal of Michael Dukakis in the Michael Dukakis story. He took a break from Wall Street and he was acting during the late 90s. And it was.
Dude, I hope your references just go like completely over everybody's head, Danny.
There are one or two of your viewers who are within 10 years of my age.
I know Michael Dukakis. That was I remember my mom voting for him, and I remember the tank thing that he literally.
They brought a real Abrams tank into the theater. It was off Broadway, and he got up in that tank in that little leather helmet, and I was crying. I was front row center, but
he literally.
Thank God he got back to Goldman Sachs, and here we are today. The rest is history, gentlemen.
I didn't know that about him.
It's that type of questioning and dialogue where I will be nowhere near that show, should it ever happen. But I'll be cheering you guys on from the sidelines.
Noto's never coming on this podcast.
Ever. I think right now he's under a tremendous amount of pressure because it's a young company and he has a lot to prove. He's never been a CEO before. He has everything on the line here, guys. I mean, this is not like a fun deal for him. This is his whole life right now. And this is his entire career, 40-year career has been crystallized down. If he F's this up, this is all anybody's going to remember. You know, so it's a tremendous amount. I don't think people really humanize it and see what these guys might go. He can come on here and say one word out of place. He's trying to get business banking. You know, he doesn't want to answer to these regulators. They bring these guys in and they grill them in Washington, D.C. It's not a joke.
I wasn't going to ask any stock questions. I was just going to ask.
I'm sorry. I get on my high horse, Tanner. You know
asking him, I wanted to ask him about how he's helping young professionals get their money right. You know, ask him some real just product questions.
He doesn't care about these basketball players. His mother. My mother had a tough time too. She once gave me a haircut and it looked slightly awkward.
Not coming on.
He had a PhD in literature. We were upper middle class. It was terrible. Oh, anyway, no, I'm sure he cares. He cares. I mean, he cares. But come on. He wants to cash in those freaking stock options. He doesn't care about those inner city kids. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like June 2026, you know, July 2026. Maybe he'll come on. We'll all have a beer.
We all want to punch upward. We all want to be on a golf course with a windbreaker. We don't want to punch down. We don't want to.
You know,
we don't want to help the less fortunate. Noto.
The tranches will hit. We'll all benefit, and then we'll just all.
I just thought of a great video
put
idea.
A comment and to Tanner, pull up that comment.
What? That? So
yeah,
he's here.
He's here. It was
what's it called? I just thought of a great idea. I think that for TGL's first show, we should broadcast it live. Get taken down by YouTube, get a copyright strike, whatever. Do all that stuff, but we should broadcast it live and enjoy it because he'll probably be watching that as well. Maybe that's the only time he'll ever be on the show is actually just watching sports with the dude. I don't know.
Why are people so afraid of YouTube? I mean, what are you going to say something wrong? I don't know. I think the thought police is just out of control.
No, I don't honestly. I think that I really think that over the next 5-10 years, like, and maybe even less than that, you're going to see a lot of CEOs start to do the YouTube tour, right? The YouTube media tour. And I just think Noto is much more serious in the fact that he runs a regulated bank and doesn't want to talk to 20-year-olds. And just, it's more of a brand risk than he's willing to take on to have an audience of 375 people.
Does he have
kids? You are 18, 19, you're 20.
I'm 26.
26.
Does Noto have kids?
In our 20s. Tevis is 29, 26. Oh. Roy is 28. So Roy's like 58.
How'd you guys save all this money and get these careers? You guys don't act like you have rich parents. What the hell? You have your heads together more than any people I've ever seen. I can't stand this. 20s.
Well, people get jobs. I mean, come on.
I'm going to never retire. I'm going to be swinging a hammer into my grave. You guys are going to be up in Canada with some land, some title. Roy, that's not possible. Do you guys know anything about biology? Highly unlikely.
Yeah, it's impossible for an American to give birth to a Canadian. You can't.
You can.
No, it's an aberration.
Regulations.
It's a natural.
So I don't know. Can I say this live?
Yes.
No, we'll do it in the after hours just so I don't risk going to prison. All right.
Landed the free.
More like it has to do with ice. So maybe we'll talk about it in the after hours. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. But bye for now.
Thanks, guys.